Welcome back to Who Ordered the Pie, the podcast where music, stories, and a little something in your glass all come together. I'm Christopher, and this week, since it's Halloween, we're stepping into the shadows. Now, before we start, there's no Monster Mash here, no Werewolves of London, no Thriller. Those are fun. These aren't. These are songs that crawl under your skin because of what they describe. Songs you don't just listen to, you endure. So pour yourself something strong, keep the lights low, and remember, this one comes with a warning. Listen at your own risk. We're doing this in countdown format, so we're going to start with number 5. And at number 5 is Nebraska by Bruce Springsteen, a song that whispers its horror instead of showing it. We start in open fields in the American Midwest. Nebraska sounds gentle, just Bruce, an acoustic guitar, harmonica, and a 4-track recorder. But the story that's told is from the mind of a real killer. Charles Starkweather, 19 years old, who went on a 1958 killing spree across Nebraska and Wyoming with his 14-year-old girlfriend, Claire Fugit. Springsteen doesn't dramatize it. He doesn't justify it. He just speaks in Starkweather's voice, calm, matter-of-fact, almost bored.
With a sawed-off 410 on my lap.
It's not shouted, it's flat, just a statement, and somehow that makes it worse.
I killed everything in my bag. You want to know why I did what I did?
Then comes the ending, the quietest confession imaginable.
Sir, I guess there's just a meanness in this world.
That last line, it's not guilt. It's just a shrug. No emotion, no lesson. Just evil, whispering its own explanation. At number 4, The Kindness of Strangers by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. A waltz that sounds tender until it isn't.
They found Mary Bellows cuffed to the bed, with a rag in her mouth and a bullet in her head.
And that's just the first line of the song. It's from the album Murder Ballads, record where every track ends in death. Deceptively pretty story about a young woman named Mary Bellows. She's polite, she's hopeful, and she leaves her home in the darkness of the night to see the world, and she trusts the people.
She wanted to see the deep blue sea. She traveled across Tennessee.
Can almost see her, suitcase in hand, heart full of optimism, believing that the world rewards innocence.
She met a man along the way. He introduced himself as Richard Slade.
The song drifts by like a lullaby until this mysterious man forces his way into her life.
I'm a good girl, sir, she said to him. I couldn't possibly permit you in.
But along with the man's arrival comes the violence, sudden, unadorned, and final.
The hope and loneliness, she crossed the floor and undid the latch on her front door.
Nick's narration gets even more disturbing as you can hear the crying girl behind his voice, setting a tone, creating a scene, and getting your heart pounding.
They found her the next day, cuffed to the bed, the rag in her mouth and a bullet in her head.
No motive, just aftermath. And then Nick Cave gives us one of the most haunting codas he's ever written.
Some mothers keep your girls at home. Don't let them journey out alone.
Ironic title, The Kindness of Strangers, but it's really a murder ballad without catharsis, a warning wrapped in a lullaby, and it proves that sometimes it's not the killer who haunts you, it's the people who keep singing. At number 3, Timothy by The Boys. A pop song at heart, but with a heart of darkness. This song's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's actually written by Rupert Holmes. Yeah, that Rupert Holmes that wrote the Pina Colada song.
If you like pina coladas and getting
When he was asked to write a song for the boys, who couldn't seem to crack the charts, he figured there was only one way to get attention: stir up some controversy. So he wrote a song that sounded innocent, even cheerful, but hid something unspeakable underneath. It opens with a simple folk tale, the kind you might have heard on AM radio back then. But listen closely, and the lyrics start painting a very different picture. 3 miners are trapped underground, only 2 make it out, and they keep singing about poor Timothy.
Timothy, Timothy, where on earth did you go?
It's got that upbeat, sing-along tone, almost playful, until you start to picture what's really happening down there.
Hungry as hell, no food to eat, and Joe said that he would sell his soul for just a piece of meat.
Now the mood shifts. They're starving. You start to realize that the song is really implying something different, but they never say it outright.
Enough to drink for 2, and Joe said to me, I'll take a swig, and then there's some for you.
That's when it hits you. They didn't make it out with Timothy. They made it out because of Timothy.
Timothy, Timothy, God, what did we do?
Holmes later admitted, I thought if I wrote a song that got banned, it would get more people talking about it. And it did. Once radio stations realized what the song was really about, Timothy was pulled from playlists across the country, especially in Pennsylvania where the boys were from.
Nobody ever got around to finding Timothy.
But the controversy only made it bigger. People had to hear it for themselves. By March of 1971, Timothy had climbed all the way to number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100. Catchy, horrifying, and it worked exactly as planned. Maybe that's what makes it so unsettling. It's horror you can hum.
Timothy, where on earth did you go? Timothy.
Song about cannibalism disguised as a pop hit. And for the boys, it worked. For a few strange months, they were the talk of the airwaves. Thanks to a song no one wanted to admit that they understood. But Timothy wasn't the only song that slipped something dark past the radio censors. In the early 1970s, that line between catchy and chilling got crossed more than once, sometimes by accident, and sometimes very much on purpose. At number 2, we have DOA by Blood Rock. A plane crash, a dying narrator, and one of the most chilling singles that'll ever reach the charts.
Laying here, looking at the ceiling.
The band said the song came from something real. Guitarist Lee Pickens had actually witnessed a small plane crash as a teenager, and on that plane was his best friend. He saw the wreckage firsthand, the fire, the twisted metal, the body of his friend still inside. He said the sight never left him. Years later, the band began writing DOA. That memory became the core of the song. Moment frozen between horror and numbness.
To move my arm and there's no feeling. And when I look, I see there's nothing there.
He's not screaming, he's reporting it. And you can feel the trauma in his detachment.
The girl I knew has such a distant stare.
And the chorus just keeps repeating. I remember, we were flying along and hit something in the air. And the next line, he says, I look straight at the attendant, his face pale as it can be. He bends and whispers softly.
He says, there's no chance for me.
And in the final verse, the awareness sets in. He truly realizes what's happening.
Life is flowing out my body. The sheets are red and moist where I'm lying.
He's not pleading, he's observing, narrating his own death as it happens.
God in heaven, teach me how to die.
Even the music sounds like it's dying with him, built around what musicians call the devil's interval, or tritone. It's the most unstable sound in Western music. 3 whole notes apart, bounced right between harmony and dissonance. Back in the Middle Ages, church composers were warned not to use it in sacred music. Felt too unnerving, too unholy. They called it Diabolus in Musica, the devil in music. Blood Rock built the entire song around that sound, a requiem with no resolution, a harmony that never finds peace. It just floats uneasily, like the soul of the dying man in this song.
We were flying low and hit something in the air.
But if DUA is about dying, our final song is what happens when you've already lost everything. At number 1, Frankie Teardrop by Suicide. 10 minutes of raw panic and absolute despair.
Frankie Teardrop.
It's the story of a factory worker, Frankie, who loses his job, then murders his wife and child before turning the gun on himself.
20-year-old Frankie. He's married, he's got a kid.
It's just a drum machine, a synth drone, and Alan Vega screaming like a man possessed.
Can't make enough money. Frankie can't buy enough food.
Lou Reed once said he wished he had written it. Trent Reznor also called the band decades ahead of their time.
Frankie is so desperate. He's gonna kill his wife and kid.
I've actually decided not to play a lot of this song because it is so unnerving, so evil. So let's just go ahead and cut to the chase.
Let's hear it for Frankie.
Shortly after that moment, the screams begin. The beat never falters, but the synth behind it keeps shifting tempo, subtly throwing you off balance, like your own pulse is fighting the music. For many listeners, that includes me, it's simply unbearable. Critics confessed they couldn't finish it. Henry Rollins said he heard it once, alone at night, and felt his blood go cold.
Frankie's dead.
This isn't a song, it's a panic attack. Every scream feels like it's coming from somewhere else, some near, some deep inside your head. The story spirals into murder, madness, and suicide, but what makes it terrifying isn't the violence, it's the realism. By the end, the song collapses into distortion and gasps, as if you're hearing the last breaths of the man who wrote it. A recording of despair, an exorcism caught on tape, and easily the most disturbing song ever written. For most artists, Frankie Teardrop was unlistenable, but for Bruce Springsteen, it was revelation. If you've been listening closely, you've already heard its echo, because Nebraska, number 5 on our list, was born from this. Springsteen later admitted in an interview, "I'd listened to Suicide's first album, particularly Frankie Teardrop, and I remember thinking, that's what I'm trying to do. There was something so real, so frightening about it. It wasn't entertaining, it felt like a document, and that's what I wanted Nebraska to be." The heartbeat of Frankie Teardrop became the pulse of Nebraska. One whispered, one screamed, both stared into the same darkness.
Frankie's lying in hell.
All right, well, I think we've lingered in the shadows long enough. It's time for our cocktail segment. Let's chase that darkness with something smooth and just a little mysterious. Tonight's drink, the Black Dahlia. 2 ounces of vodka, ½ ounce of Kahlúa, and ½ ounce of black raspberry liqueur like Chambord. Shake that with ice, strain it into a chilled coupe, and then finish that with an espressed orange peel. Dark, elegant, and just dangerous enough. The perfect companion to songs you probably shouldn't play alone. So that was our Halloween playlist, 5 songs that dared to go too far. No novelty tracks, no campy monsters, just darkness, confession, and madness caught on tape. Now, I love horror, movies, books, all of it, but even for me, those last 2, they were too much. There's something about them that just feels too close to evil, like staring into a place you shouldn't look for too long. Some songs scare you, these haunt you. Next time we'll step back into the light, to the fun, strange, and joyful side of music history once again. Here's the loud riffs, quiet sips, and the stories in between.
Happy Halloween.